Echo TV is a co-production of Minnesota's Emergency and Community Health Outreach Collaborative of health, safety, ethnic and nonprofit agencies, and TPT's Minnesota channel.
Hello and welcome to ECHO, which stands for Emergency and Community Health Outreach. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald. I'm the Executive Director for ECHO, and we're a program bringing you health and safety information in multiple languages. This program this time is about early childhood screening and screening for early childhood. We'll have a couple of guests, but to get to know more about this subject, please watch this.
Babies grow up fast. Babies first learn to hold their head and sit up. Some babies crawl before they learn to walk, and soon they begin to talk. All this growth happens well before they start kindergarten. From the day babies are born, regular visits to the doctor are important. Taking children for regular visits to the clinic, sometimes called child and teen checkups, can help prevent medical problems. The doctor will look at a child's eyes and ears to check their vision and hearing. Height and weight will also be measured. Children will receive vaccinations to help protect them from some diseases. Doctors check to be sure a child's body and brain is growing in healthy ways so that the child can do well in school and later in life. During a checkup, the child's learning, language, thinking, and behavioral skills will be checked. How children express their feelings and relate to other people are important parts of their growth. Parents may be asked to answer questions or fill out forms to help doctors and nurses learn more about how to help each child learn and grow in healthy ways. During clinic visits, parents can also find answers to questions about how well their child is growing and learning. If a medical or developmental problem is found during a checkup that needs more attention, the family will get help in learning more about the problem and be directed to services that will help the child improve. Bringing a child for regular checkups is a way for parents to learn about other programs and services that help children learn and do well in school and later in life. Some of these programs are called Early Childhood Family Education, ECFE, the School Readiness Program, WIC, Women, Infants, and Children, Public Health Home Visits, Follow Along, and Head Start. The doctor's office is not the only place where parents can find out if their child is developing and learning in healthy ways. When a child turns 3, parents should contact their local public school district for information about scheduling an early childhood screening. This type of checkup or screening checks for learning and health problems. Parents and children may be directed to programs that will help them right away. This helps children be better prepared for school. During the early childhood screening, a nurse or teacher will look at how your child sees, hears, moves, plays, talks, learns, and behaves. They will also help you find early childhood programs and other community programs you or your family may need. You will also receive ideas on how to help your child learn. Waiting until children are in school to have an early childhood screening could be too late to help them get the care they need so that they can do well in school. That's why school districts offer screenings for children at age 3 to make them ready for kindergarten. In Minnesota, children can't go to kindergarten classes in public schools unless they've had an early childhood screening. Early childhood screening is free, and many times interpreters are available to help families not comfortable speaking English. Doctors, nurses, teachers, and parents want to be sure children are healthy and ready for kindergarten. There are programs available to help families find a doctor even if they don't have enough money for health care. Minnesota Care and medical assistance programs help pay for clinic visits and child and teen checkups. Raising healthy children is an important job, and there's help available to make sure your child is healthy and ready to learn so that they can do well by the time they start kindergarten.
Welcome back. You're watching ECHO, Emergency and Community Health Outreach. I'm your host, Lily McDonald. Our subject is on early childhood screening and screening for early childhood. We have a couple of guests joining us to talk about that subject. We have Mary York, a pediatric nurse practitioner and also a child health consultant. And joining her is Ann Hoxie, the supervisor of student wellness programs at St. Paul Public Schools. Thank you both for joining us on ECHO.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it. And this is kind of an interesting subject. Let's just start with nomenclature first, just names. We have early childhood screening and screening for early childhood. What's the difference and what do we mean by that?
Screening in early childhood, well, let me just define early childhood. First of all, it's that time period between birth and age 5 when children typically start kindergarten. Screening means it's a way of assuring parents that their children are healthy and developing normally. So when you put them together, early childhood screening means screening children within that time frame. There are 2 types of screening that we're going to be talking about today. And the first type is the ongoing clinic visit that parents bring their children to starting as a newborn. And the parents are able to ask questions. Their physicians or nurse practitioners will be listening to their child's heart. They'll be looking in their ears, down their throat, feeling their belly, making sure that the child is well and growing normally. The physician also, or nurse practitioner, will ask the parent if they have any questions and how they think their child is progressing.
So this is kind of a relationship you have going on in the clinic.
It's
between
an ongoing, periodic, regular clinic visit from birth through adolescence, really. There's a second type of screening that we'll be talking about today, and that's the early childhood screening program, and that is a one-time required screening at age 3 for children before they enter kindergarten. And it's offered through the school districts.
What's the difference between the two then? Just by age 3, or there's less physical screening going on in the school system, or what's the difference?
Well, in the school system, we're looking at kids from a slightly more educational or learning perspective than a health perspective. And that early childhood screening that we do in schools does not include a physical exam.
So it's not done by a physician then?
It's not done by a physician, it's done by school district staff, a teacher or a nurse. And it's offered free of charge here in Minnesota to every child at the age of 3. And the whole point of it is to help children be successful learners in school. And if we find a need that a child has, school districts have programs to help that child get the extra services that they might need.
Why age 3?
Well, we know that if you're going to really make an impact and have kids ready by kindergarten, we need to start early. So we're really, we used to do it just before kindergarten years back, and we've really found that we need to see kids around age 3 or shortly after. Not before, that's a little too young, but shortly after they turn 3, so that there is time for special services and additional experiences if children need that.
Why is this so important? It seems like there's a lot of focus now in the community about school and school readiness and getting to the clinic and more health prevention out there. Why is it so important?
I think everyone in the community benefits when our children are healthy. We want kids to do well in school, so from the very beginning, they're more likely then to go on and graduate and become successful adults in our community and find employment. And schools have resources for children, and people often don't think about that during the young early childhood years. They think about school-age children, but they don't think about preschool kids. So not only early childhood screening, but then those regular visits into their healthcare provider really do help connect children and families to all the various programs and services in their community, which will help the family parent their child and help the child be successful.
What kinds of programs and services are you talking about in particular?
Well, there's a lot of a variety, and it varies from community to community, but most communities have early childhood family education programs. They have 4-year-old programs, school readiness, Head Start programs, programs like WIC, Women and Infants and Children Nutrition Program. There are programs such as Child and Teen Checkup, which I think Mario can talk more about.
Local public health will send nurses to the home, and they also can engage families in a program called Follow Along, which charts a child's or infant's development.
Wow, from
birth.
before from birth on,
Yeah.
and you can get plugged in that fast.
Yeah.
What can I expect if I'm a new parent and I'm trying to, you know, there's a lot to, there's just a lot to pay attention to. You have a family, and then you're in the clinic, and you have immunizations you need to learn about, and then the school system comes along. What can I expect at an early childhood screening?
Well, at early childhood screening, for those children that are 3, you can expect that the school district staff person, the teacher, the nurse, will look to see how your child is learning and hearing and playing and talking. They'll measure height and weight. They'll talk with the parent about the child's experiences and how the child responds in various situations. They might ask the child to draw or to balance.
What does that
Draw.
measure?
Draw.
Is dexterity or?
Dexterity, it measures cognitive ability, it measures child's ability to follow directions. So we'll look at balance, we'll look at maybe how they can stack blocks. That looks at their ability to see a task and be able to follow through on it. We'll look at their speech and language skills. So all of this maybe takes a half hour to 45 minutes, and in the end we sit down with the parent and talk about what all happened here, what we saw, and how their child's doing.
Should I expect any immunizations at this?
You probably will not have immunizations provided at the early childhood screening, but we'll probably talk about immunizations your child will need, certainly before they start kindergarten is the time.
The difference between the early childhood screening and a well child clinic, Mary, is what?
At a well child clinic, we do check on immunizations, and if a child needs to have his immunizations updated, they can be done at the clinic. They also do a physical exam. One thing I think it's important for parents to know is that there can be problems that the family may not be aware of, such as a hearing difficulty or vision problems or some discrete learning problems. And these can be uncovered through early childhood screening, the program, or through regular well child exams. And of course we know that the sooner you get a child in and start addressing some of those issues, the better the child will do in school.
And I would imagine, too, that a 2-year-old can't say, you know, I don't think I'm seeing the eye chart just exactly very well right now.
That's right, and children can adapt so that they can kind of cover up these problems so that we don't, you know, just looking at them.
They can't tell you what's going on, and so the tests will. And parents, even when you see your child every day, you think you're on top of everything, but, you know, they grow so fast.
Yes.
Well, and sometimes seeing a child every day, the way a parent does, you don't really notice what might be of concern, because you've adapted to who your child is. So
why not wait until kindergarten? You're saying that early prevention is better, and that we used to actually wait until kindergarten, but are you suggesting it's too late for an early childhood screening?
We just know that the earlier that we screen children and offer services, if services are needed, the better outcome for kids.
And if there's a 3-year-old that kind of escaped the public school system and they show up for kindergarten, then do you send them to a screening? Or?
We welcome them into school. We're glad to have them when they get there. And we have called a makeup program, and the screening will get done within the first 30 days that they're in kindergarten.
Okay. Does this cost anything?
Through the school district, there isn't a cost. It's a program that's provided through all our school districts in Minnesota. So for the early childhood screening program with the capitals, early childhood screening, there is not a cost.
Okay, so I should ask for this in my public school district?
Yes, you
then?
can contact your public school district, and they'll get you set up with an appointment.
Mary, if I'm a low-income family, what are some of the resources that I might have that might cover well child clinics or CTC programs,
Yes.
child and teen checkup programs?
If a child qualifies for medical assistance or Minnesota Care, they automatically qualify for child and teen checkup. So that's a well child visit at the clinic. There are also community clinics that have a sliding fee scale for families who may not qualify for Minnesota Care or medical assistance. They can take their children there and have you know, a sliding fee scale for that visit. Also, we should mention that children that need to go to the clinic for child and teen checkup, if they don't have transportation, that will be provided free of charge to the family.
Okay. Now, child and teen checkup, we're talking about well child early on, and then there's teen checkups too. You want to elaborate a little bit on those programs?
Child and teen checkups, yes, is a federally subsidized program that covers children from birth up till age 21. So we would encourage families to continue going to the clinic after their child starts school.
I imagine it's harder to get them in there when they're teenagers.
It is.
But to qualify for athletic programs, there's a requirement there.
Absolutely, and just to make sure that they're still developing normally and healthily and, you know, physically, and yeah.
And things can change.
Yes, and teenagers need additional immunizations, usually around the age of 12, so that's definitely a good time to go in.
And there may be some things the teenagers might want to talk to the physician about.
There may be, yes.
That they don't want to talk to the parents about. That could be going on. They can get some resources there as well. What about if I don't speak English? And I know this is a program, an English-speaking program, but ECHO serves multiple languages. What if I don't speak English? How do I get help through this system?
Well, schools and clinics and child and teen checkup programs all have interpreters that can help parents communicate with the school or with their healthcare provider. There are also language lines. If a family needs some help scheduling an appointment at the clinic or the school, through language lines, they can find someone who can help them with that.
And the best way to ask for that is, I need an interpreter, I don't speak English,
That's
I need
correct.
Spanish,
Yes.
I need Hmong, I need
Yes.
what do you...
And sometimes somebody might have to call you back, but if you can ask for that service, we can probably identify a way to get that provided.
Just about a minute left. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that either one of you want to take an opportunity and talk about in particular on this subject?
Well, I'd just like to encourage parents not to be afraid to bring their child in for an exam, for a checkup. If something is discovered that that the child may need help with, it's not a reflection on the parent. It doesn't mean that they failed as a parent. But again, the earlier we get that child into help, the better time that child will have in school and be a more successful learner and go on to graduate from high school more likely,
Sure.
go on to college, and find a job. So it's better for the community as well.
Great. Mary, Ann?
I just like to reassure parents that neither schools or clinics report families that do not have legal documentation, so that should reassure people.
Okay, great. What's important is to get health care and get ready for school.
Yep.
And continue that through 21 and well beyond, I might add. All right, I want to thank you both for joining us on ECHO. It's a challenging subject, but we appreciate your information today. Out of all the things we talked about, there's 3 key things we'd like you to try and remember from this program. The first is, from birth on, bring your child to your clinic regularly to make sure they're developing and learning in healthy ways. Number 2, at regular checkups, parents can find answers to questions and connect their families to programs and services that will help them. And lastly, when your child is 3 years old, call your public school district for information about early childhood screenings. This helps your child be healthy and ready to start school. Once again, I'd like to thank both our guests, Mary York and Ann Hoxie. Thank you very much for joining us on ECHO for this subject. If you'd like to learn more about this program or any of ECHO's programs on health and safety subjects in multiple languages, please visit our website at www.echominnesota.org. For now, I'm your host, Lillian McDonald. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time.
ECHO TV is a co-production of Minnesota's Emergency and Community Health Outreach Collaborative of health, safety, ethnic and nonprofit agencies, and TPT's Minnesota channel.